You know that feeling, right? You're a broken record, repeating the same instructions over and over again to a room full of kids who just seem to have selective hearing. It is exhausting. But what if I told you there's actually a science to cutting through all that noise? Today, we are going to unlock the secrets to getting kids to listen, and the best part, you won't have to raise your voice to do it.
It's the question that can really keep you up at night, can't you? You start wondering, is it me? Am I not authoritative enough? Well, the good news is it's rarely about your personality. The real difference between being heard and being ignored, it usually just comes down to a few key strategies. So, what's the secret sauce? What makes one teacher's words stick, while another's just evaporate into thin air?
I mean, this image just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that communication gap. We think we're sending out this super clear, simple instruction, but by the time it gets to a child's brain, it can turn into a completely jumbled mess. And that disconnect, that gap between what we say and what they actually hear, that's the root of so much classroom frustration.
So when you're faced with that wall of indifference, what's the first tool most of us reach for? We turn up the volume, right? We shout. But here's the crazy, counterintuitive truth. Shouting is pretty much the least effective strategy you can use. So let's dig into exactly why our natural instinct to just get louder actually backfires big time.
Oh, you can almost feel it, can't you? That feeling in your chest, that rising tide of frustration, when your instructions are met with total silence. So you plead, you nag, you raise your voice. You hope that maybe, just maybe, sheer volume will force them to listen. It's such a natural reaction, but you know what? It's a trap we all fall into.
Just look at this chain reaction. Shouting isn't a show of strength at all. It's a giant blinking sign that you've lost control. It actually teaches kids to shout back. It puts them on the defensive. And for some kids, your little outburst is the most entertaining part of their day. Every single shout is like a domino falling, and it leads to this whole cascade of negative stuff.
And here it is. This is the single biggest reason it fails. For a kid who's craving attention, your big emotional reaction is like hitting the jackpot. It doesn't even matter that the attention is negative, it's still attention. So when we lose our temper, we're not punishing them, we're actually rewarding them. The key thing to get here is that shouting isn't just ineffective, it's counterproductive. It's actively reinforcing the exact behavior we want to stop.
Okay, so if shouting is definitely on the don't list, what's on the do list? Well, the answer is this really powerful framework built on 3 pillars: calm, clarity, and consistency. And these aren't just nice words, they are the actual building blocks of a respectful, cooperative classroom. Let's break down each one.
All right, pillar number 1, calm. I want you to think of your tone of voice as the thermostat for the entire room. A calm, neutral delivery just instantly de-escalates tension. It signals that you are in control of yourself, which in turn helps you control the situation. When you refuse to add emotional fuel to the fire, there's literally nothing for a conflict to burn.
I absolutely love this quote. It just paints the perfect picture of why arguing with a defiant child is completely pointless. You get dragged down into their messy power struggle, and they get the satisfaction of pulling you in with them. But a calm, firm response that refuses to even get near the mud pit?
So a calm delivery is step 1 for sure, but what you actually say is just as important. And that brings us to our second pillar, clarity. See, vague instructions are basically an open invitation for misinterpretation and defiance. If there's a loophole in what you're saying, you can bet a kid is going to find it.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day, right? Sit properly is totally subjective. My idea of properly might be way different from yours. But 4 chair legs on the floor, that's a concrete, observable action. No wiggle room. Quietly is open to interpretation. In silence is not. The more specific you are, the less room there is for any kind of argument.
Okay, theory is great, but let's see how this whole clarity thing can totally transform a real-world situation. I want you to picture a break-time football game that was so chaotic the staff literally called it a living nightmare. The problem wasn't the kids and it wasn't the game. It was the total lack of clear, structured instructions.
Now I know what you might be thinking. This seems like ridiculously specific, right? Almost overkill? But that's the magic. By breaking down a simple journey into these tiny, foolproof steps, the staff completely eliminated any opportunity for confusion or misbehavior. When every single step is crystal clear, the path to chaos is closed off. So, you can have the calmest tone and the clearest instructions in the entire world, but without our third pillar, the whole thing is just going to crumble. And that pillar is consistency. This is the glue that holds it all together. It's what makes the system actually work long-term.
So, consistency really means fair, predictable consequences. And this isn't about being punitive, it's all about being predictable. When a child knows without a doubt that action A always leads to consequence B, they're empowered. They learn that they are the ones in control of the outcome, not you.
I mean, just think about it for a second. What lesson does a kid learn if a consequence is only applied sometimes? They learn that the rules are basically a lottery. They learn that maybe, just maybe, if they push the boundaries today, they'll hit the jackpot and get away with it.
And this leads to this amazing metaphor, the teacher as a broken fruit machine. Why do people get addicted to slot machines? It's because of something called intermittent reinforcement, that random, unpredictable reward. An inconsistent teacher becomes a human slot machine, basically training kids to keep pulling the lever of misbehavior, because hey, every now and then, it pays out.
And you can see this whole downward spiral right here. When kids don't know what to expect, they feel insecure. And that insecurity, it breathes confusion about the rules, which always leads to more testing of boundaries and more conflict. The big takeaway is that a strong system needs all three pillars. A calm delivery opens the door. Clear instructions show the way. And consistency makes sure everyone stays on that path. Okay, so we've seen the problems and we've laid out the solutions. But what happens when you actually put these three pillars, calm, clarity, and consistency, into practice? Well, the results aren't just small improvements. They can be absolutely life-changing. Let's look at some of these incredible transformations. Take the case of a boy everyone had basically written off as unteachable. He was a master of defiance, fighting every single rule. But the staff refused to get in the ring with him. They didn't shout, they didn't lecture, they simply met his fire with calm consistency, applying the prearranged consequences every single time. And the result? In just 1 week, the fighting stopped. He learned that he was the one holding the keys to his own outcomes, and he started to unlock a completely different future.
And let's not forget about our nightmare football game. With that new playbook of ultra-clear instructions and absolute consistency, all that chaos just evaporated. The game transformed into a highlight of the day. The kids got more time to actually play because the transitions were so smooth, and the staff were able to relax and enjoy the break instead of policing it. It was a true win-win, all because a system replaced the struggle.
This final comparison just says it all, really. On the left, you've got the teacher locked in this endless tug-of-war with Mark, just feeding him attention with every single nag. On the right, the teacher calmly states the action and the consequence, and then just steps back. One is a power struggle, the other is a system. One is exhausting, the other is effective.
The ultimate lesson here is to stop trying to be tougher and start being smarter. It's not about winning some battle of wills, it's about creating a system that does the heavy lifting for you. When you have a solid foundation of calm, clarity, and consistency, you take your own emotions out of the equation and you let the system create that predictable, secure environment that kids really need to thrive. So, as we finish up, I want to leave you with this question. Which of these pillars needs the most attention in your world? Is it calm, clarity, or consistency? You don't have to perfect all three overnight. Just pick one to start with. Because honestly, strengthening just a single pillar can be enough to start building a whole new foundation for respect and cooperation.